Well, hello! I want to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This week I have some guest pens who have journeyed halfway across the country from sunny Boston, Massachusetts to snowy North Dakota. But the pens are fun, so let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And if anything I talk about today strikes your interest, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Let's take a look at what I have. So, last week I unveiled the Platinum 3776 with the Shengyo finish in my great Platinum 3776 video, which I have to re-record the first part. But the end part isn't recorded yet. A Senator, which I'll call Senator Blind Cap, which is a gift from a viewer. A Kaweco V14S, which has been my daily writer pen since the unfortunate death of my Lamy 2000 nib. I do have an update on that, which I'll come back to. A Garant Alkor, which visits us from across the Iron Curtain in many decades of history. A Lamy Aion from the other side of the Iron Curtain, and well, so was the Kaweco and the Senator. But this one is post-Iron Curtain. These three are pre-Iron, or not post or pre. Contemporary, anyway, with the Iron Curtain. Waterman Hemisphere. And then these last few pens are on loan from a pen reviewer named Pier Gustafson in Boston, Massachusetts. A Wahl-Eversharp Skyline, he just calls it a Sheafer Triumph nib, but I haven't really researched what it is. A Parker 21 Special, a Sheafer Red 33, a Wahl, he calls it a Wahl Woodgrain, and a Parker Challenger. Earlier this week, I did a video, kind of a collaboration with Pier Gustafson with those pens. He had filmed writing samples of the pens, and I filmed writing samples of the pens, and I put it into a massive, slightly over an hour-long video. So that was interesting, just to try some pens I'd never tried before and do a collaboration. So might be open to trying something like that again. I don't know. So anyway, that's enough about the pens. Let's see how they write. As always, I use my Bomo Art Journal, the new one, because the old one is filled, which sad and good. I think it'll also be interesting. We saw, you know, with Mr. Gustafson's paper, how these pens wrote. I think now it'll be kind of fun to see how it writes on my paper. And this is, I think, a more absorbent paper than he does. So I think it'll cause the lines to spread a little bit more. But we'll see. So let's see how they write. I should mention that I actually filmed this earlier this week once. In editing the footage together last night, I thought, wow. Ew. I just was tired when I filmed it, and don't film when you're tired. Film when you're spiffy and full of energy. So, this is a Platinum 3776, the Shengyo finish. I think it's a very attractive finish. It's kind of like the Bourgogne finish, but with a little more jazz to it. Has a coarse nib, which I suppose is like a double broad. So, Platinum 3776. This was the first one that I had that skipped when I started it up out of the batch. I don't know that that's a thing. It could have been, you know, maybe I'm just holding it at wrong angle or something like I just demonstrated there. But that will make it into the final Platinum video, which looks like it'll be a December/January project. My ink, of course, is Platinum Black. This next pen was a gift from a viewer. I call it Senator Blind Cap, mainly because the Senator Cracked Blind Cap, because the blind cap is indeed cracked. I suppose eventually I'll want to repair that. This pen has an interesting, whatever you call this kind of nib. Hooded, semi-hooded, covered, not covered, open, you know, I don't know. I wish I had model numbers. So far, I've just not been able to find a lot of information about the Senator brand. Which is why any reviews I've done of Senators so far, I've been very awkward in just saying, the matte gray one. And, you know, I hate to call this Senator Cracked Blind Cap, but I may be forced to do that. This ink actually was also a gift from a viewer. Diamine Cult Pens. Dark blue. Of course, what has been my daily writer, a Kaweco V14S. And I feel like I've never noticed that mark before. Oh, yes, I have. That's an F. Wow. The angle I was holding it looked like a weird L. Okay. The nib, again, I don't know if there's a special name for this kind of nib. Semi-hooded? Winged? I don't know. No, winged has to do with the actual shape of the nib. I don't know if there's a name for that, but I like the pen anyway, and I know what it's called because there's just a lot more information about Kaweco out there. Which is interesting because Senator is still around. I don't know what's up tonight. My camera keeps deciding it can't communicate with my iPad. Not that it really matters as long as it's recording, but anyway. So on this subject, thanks to a viewer, I found a eBay seller who sells Lamy nibs. I decided to order one. I will attempt to install it, and we'll see how it goes. It should be here this coming week. If that doesn't work, I've got two possible solutions. One is to buy a Lamy 2000 fine point nib, or pay the equivalent in getting Lamy to repair it and replace the nib. So, yeah, I don't know where I'll come down on that, but I thought it would be interesting to try. Sort of contemporary with the Kaweco V14S. This is a Garant Alkor, but this was born across the Iron Curtain. The nib in it, or I'm sorry, the ink in it. Herbin, wow, EF. I'm starting to write the name of the ink already. Poussière. De Lune. Moon dust. I guess the moon is kind of dusty. In fact, there was a fear when we first landed on the moon that it would just be dust and we'd fall through. And I want to say is it Arthur C. Clarke or Robert Heinlein wrote a book called A Fall of Moon Dust. It was about some kind of a craft on the surface of the moon that got trapped in a, what would you call it, a dust puddle. And the fact that it started to overheat while they were down there, and how do we get oxygen, how do we communicate, how do we get help, how do we get out? But yeah, it was either Robert Heinlein or Arthur C. Clarke, and I can't remember which one, but the book was definitely called A Fall of Moon Dust. Lamy Aion, very plain. It's a metal pen, but it's one I actually like. I don't usually go for metal. It has that understated look. Even has a metal grip, but it's textured, so it doesn't bother me as much. Although it's cold, probably because it's been here at home. I did buy an extra fine because I felt like my collection didn't have very many of them. You know, all sizes are good. They all have their own purpose. Herbin. Parfum, Lavande. And it has a little bit of a smell to it of the whatever. And then this lovely French pen, this Waterman Hemisphere, is filled with New England's ink. Bay State Blue. And I'm finding I'm using these pens a little less this year because we have gone one-to-one at my school. So I've been doing a lot more writing on a tablet. I have a little Wacom graphics tablet I do my writing on because I didn't get a device with a touch screen. Even my test correcting isn't necessarily on paper, it's on a screen, so I'm not getting as much grading time with these pens. This is Noodler's Bay State Blue, which is always a fun pen to use to grade because it's not red, but it's very in your face. Oops. What did I almost write? Let's just start that word over because once I thought of what it started to look like, then I started to write it. Which brings me to Mr. Gustafson's pens. He is also from New England, home of the Bay State Blue. I did not use Bay State Blue in any of the pens he loaned me, but I suggested I would in my video. So this is a Skyline, Wahl-Eversharp Skyline. All of these pens are going to have the exact same video link and the exact same ink. So I'll just write the ink. Oh, what the heck, I'll write it every time. Parker Quink. Black. And just for reference, no pressure. No pressure. That's just letting the pen's weight drag across the paper, as I've been accused of having a heavy hand. Oh, I should just show you a close-up of the nib. I don't remember if I probably did in the review, but I don't remember, so we'll do it again. The feed is a little different. No, what are you... No, go away. What, you think just because I'm talking about Mr. Gustafson's pens you can come over here and play? No, you can't. No, I'm doing a video. Go away. That squirrel is so sheltered. He probably, he saw Orca on the videos and he thinks Orca will play with him. But, I've been trying to explain to him, Orca will probably eat you. But this squirrel just hasn't been out enough to understand that. Of course, maybe Orca's such an indoor cat, Orca won't understand that cats are food, squirrels are food, so maybe it balances out. This, he told me, was a Sheafer Triumph. He didn't, whoops, and I unscrewed the barrel. What? Unscrewed the barrel from the section. Well, that was annoying. So yeah, I'll just mention it. One of the things about this pen, the barrel always wants to come unscrewed instead of the cap. And I don't know how. I got to look inside that to figure out why I don't have battles with this sack doing this. Just screwing it back on. I don't understand that. This turned out to be one of the pens I prefer to post, which is not a usual thing for me. But this is indeed a Triumph nib. That's Parker Quink. Black. And if you're wondering what a Triumph nib is, you could almost call it a wraparound nib, because it just wraps around the pen. I actually reviewed a Parker 21 of my own, and then that was part of my hard drive disaster. So I'll be refilming it, and I think I will include this pen in that video. but it's Parker 21. Slip cap. Nothing too exciting about the nib. Sort of was a lower cost alternative to the 51. I don't know what size the nib is, so we'll just go with that. Parker Quink Black. Again. For many years, this was my ink. And then I found Noodlers and it all fell apart. But just lately I rediscovered Parker. My Sheaffer, what is it? Sheaffer Red 33. I know nothing about the pen. But if I do a video on it, I'll be sure to look some information up. Very fine nib, which is totally fine because, again, each nib has its purpose. A Wahl Woodgrain pen. It's a lady's pen. I guess this was used to dangle it from a necklace or whatever. Which doesn't seem to be a thing anymore, but maybe it was at one time. I don't know. So, Wahl Woodgrain. Of course, it's ebonite. I'm about ready to drop kick a kitten. This camera keeps saying it's no longer functioning, and yet I'm fairly certain it is, so I have to keep hitting OK, and getting tired of it. But anyway, we'll see how the video turns out, but I'm fairly certain it'll be there. So yeah, wood grain, it's a nice ebonite pattern. And you can get a, not that there's much to see, but you can get a look at the nib. And finally, the Parker Challenger, which I read somewhere that the Parker never, on their better pens, used a lever filler. It was always button fillers or some other mechanism. They just felt that was inappropriate for a higher cost pen because they would catch on your shirt and make icky messes and such. So this one's a button filler. There's the nib. So Parker Challenger. And the ink is Parker Quink Black. So those are my pens in use this week. I'm not taking Mr. Gustafson's pens to school for obvious reasons, but anyway, it's been fun trying them out, and doing a collaboration was fun. Also this week, my 8th grade students, because small school I teach all levels, just like I use all levels of pens. But yeah, 8th graders, a few of them discovered that I have a YouTube channel. They come up to me, "Did you know you have a YouTube channel?" Yeah, I knew. So I'm pretty sure they'll lose interest because it's fountain pen, but it exists. I'm looking at my show notes here. We had snow on Sunday. It snowed for about 7 hours. We're looking toward more snow this weekend, but it didn't stick. It just kind of hung on the tops of the grass blades over the weekend. But this weekend it's more likely to stick around because depending on the weather report you hear, it's anywhere between 4 to 12 inches. I think we dodged the 12-inch bullet because Some of that was supposed to come last night and it didn't. But further north in the state, around a little town called Fessenden, North Dakota, there was no travel advised last night. So winter is coming. And no, I'm not Jon Snow. I don't have enough hair or the scruffy beard. Let's see. Oh, the Pier Gustafson pens. That was a lot of fun. I did a video on them. That was my review this week, is those 6 pens. And I spliced his video footage together with mine to make a collaborative video. Which was interesting. I'd never done anything like that before. So, yeah, that was interesting. What can I say? But that does segue into some of the other stuff. Writing and talking. Now, as a teacher, that's one of the things I kind of do, is I can write and talk at the same time. I have to be fairly certain what I'm writing, and sometimes I get distracted like I did on the horrible word Bay State there. But it is something I can do. I know it's challenging for some people. It comes with practice, and I have lots of practice, and I've also got a lot of practice of not turning my back and all that. The other thing with writing, I guess, comes from YouTube and its nature itself. And that's where I want to close. I just wanted to mention a few things about YouTube comments. And actually I have these directed toward creators and consumers of video. And some of it came up as a result of comments left this week. Some of it's just things I've been observing for a while, and I just felt like, okay, I'm inspired now to talk about it. One of the big ones is cultural differences. I have an international viewer base. I don't, 2,000 subscribers. It's not like I'm a huge channel or anything, but they do come from all over. And different countries have different ideas on what's socially acceptable and what's not. Here in the United States, it's not socially acceptable to say, you look fat. Or, to insult. Although other ways it is acceptable. So, but in other countries, it is acceptable to say, "Oh, have you put on weight?" To tell somebody that they're looking chubbier. Other countries are more direct, and that's something you have to adjust to if you're a creator. Is that some countries are more direct, other countries are even less direct than we are here in the United States, and you have to be really careful about how you phrase things, or it's offensive. So, as a YouTube creator or even a commenter, sometimes you just have to accept that the comments can be blunt. And it's not meant out of rudeness, it's just the way they are. Some countries, it's perfectly acceptable to argue politics and go away and be friends. Here, especially at the moment, I don't think that's very possible. I have had a few people unsubscribe from the channel when I've mentioned my politics from time to time. Whatever, bye, see ya. But it's different. Another one, but where I'm headed with that, besides the cultural differences, would you say that to somebody's face? That's always my test for a comment that I write. I'm a teacher, so my job is to sometimes have those hard conversations. I try to say my words nicely, because being blunt when you're talking about somebody's kid often backfires. But at the same time, would you say it to somebody's face? So, and criticism is a perfectly valid thing to say to somebody's face. I'm sorry, if you're a creator on YouTube, you better be open to criticism. Grow a thick skin, but you better be open to it. But on the other hand, as a commenter, how do you phrase it? Mr. Squirrel, I really wish you'd tighten up your videos and perhaps limit them to 15 minutes. That's perfectly acceptable. Mr. Squirrel, oh my God, what a snooze fest. I fell asleep watching your video because it was so flippin' boring. Okay, there's a nugget of truth in there that maybe I need to liven it up, maybe I need to shorten it up. All buried under insults. That's the difference. Would you say that to my face? Probably not, unless you're angry. Is there value in the comment? You know, again, from both sides. As a creator, read the comment. You sound like a fag. I've had that one. Again, any value there? No, that's just an insult. You're boring. Insult. And the same thing as a commenter. What's the value behind your comment? Is it to make just to make the creator feel good? You know, thank you for providing these videos. You know, not a lot of content there, but your meaning is to just say, I appreciate what you're doing. That's the value behind it. If we're just going on there to insult, you're bald. Well, I'm not. It's all real, by the way. That's why it's turning gray, because it's real, and it turns gray when you're 42. So is there actually value in the comment? And as a commenter, is your comment valuable? You know, if we're just going to insult, what's the point? We call you trolls if you're an insulter. You're just trying to get a reaction. You sound like a fag. Is the goal behind that to have me go home and worry about it and just, oh my gosh, am I not masculine enough? Do I have effeminate mannerisms? Am I talking about men in a strange way? What is it? What is it? Is it a bad thing to be a fag? You know, or like I do, whatever, dude. I don't care. Who knows? Maybe they're looking for a date. So is there value in the comments? So ignore the garbage comments if you're a creator. And then sometimes, is it intentionally hurtful? What was the motivation? I would say if they're taking the time to say, this is what I don't like about your videos, it's your channel, it's my channel. Do it. Do what pleases you, boo. But at the same time, if they've taken the time to criticize, and actually criticize, well, there is such a thing as constructive criticism. Look at it. They may have a point. Maybe pens and use is too long. Maybe I need to stop the off-topic conversations in it. Maybe I need to stop making side comments. Maybe I shouldn't ever inject politics into a pen review. Those are all things I've had comments over. Just this summer I got in trouble for making a political comment in one of my videos about the migrant children at the border. That's one of those things that it's my channel. Ultimately, I get to choose what to do with it, but it is legitimate feedback from my viewers saying this is what I don't like. So don't just ignore it, but you may decide, oh, okay, you do have a point. You're right. I will change that. I've modified the way I do things over the years in response to comments. I had a lot of very constructive feedback about the lighting that you don't see because it's off camera, the green screen, the way I present. Hey, why don't you look at the camera for once in a while instead of looking off in space and doing like this? Those are useful things to know because I'm talking to the camera. Because it feels like I'm talking to you by looking at the camera. That came off like, woo! But, sorry, it's Friday afternoon, school's over with, and I'm not tired yet because it's not the end of the day, and it's not evening like when I filmed this the first time, but that celebration mood is in me like, woo! Don't have to be back till Sunday to help with homecoming stuff. Yay! 6-day work week next week. Oh, okay, back on topic, because I've been criticized for that. So, sometimes the comments are left intentionally to be hurtful. Just because somebody's an asshole, they woke up one morning and they felt like, I'm just going to go online and be an asshole. I'm going to leave rude comments. You get them. I think you're a fag is one of them, because apparently being homosexual is supposed to be an insult. I think back to Matt Armstrong when he almost dropped out of YouTube. It was those kind of comments. Why are you bald? Why would you even say that to somebody? Would you say it to their face? I remember, oh, should I tell the story or not? What the hell, I brought it up. When I was 4 years old, my parents had moved us down to a new town in Pennsylvania, very far from where we were from. And I remember this clearly to this day. We were in Hales Market, the grocery store in town, and going around, and I saw this lady, I remember clear as bell, saying to my mother, Mommy, why is that lady fat? And I got one of these whap across the head. Maybe that's why I remember it. I don't know. But Yeah, it was one of those where she gets down at my level, grabs me by both shoulders, gets right in my face, and explains it really loudly why you never say anything like that. You know, there's not a lot I remember from when I was 4 years old. That's one that's stuck in my memory. And I never go up to people now and say, why are you fat? How come you're so skinny? Oh my God, what happened to your hair? It's so white. You're really getting old. Since my parents don't YouTube, I feel free to say this. That's one of those things, and maybe it's the family relationship. They feel free to criticize how I look. Maybe one of these days I should try that out. Gee, Dad, you're losing a lot of hair. Oh, Mom, you've really put on a lot of weight since you got older. You know, do you do that? No. So, but again, there's that cultural thing too. I have a couple commenters that the first time they comment, I'm like, oh God. But then I figured out that, okay, where they're from, that would be perfectly socially acceptable. So let's get along. And I do. But I look at the motivation. I beat that topic to death, and it's done. Okay, so I love comments. The interaction in my comments is a big part of why I continue to do this. But as a viewer and as a producer, both sides have to look at what comments are and also realize that sometimes in words things get lost. You know, when somebody asks me how they look, and oh yeah, you're so ugly. And they're like, okay, yeah, he's joking. When you see it in writing, you're so ugly, you don't know if it's, you're so ugly. Or if it's, oh yeah, you're so ugly. You don't know, because it's words. So, I'll leave it there. And if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And if you'd like to talk about anything I've brought up in this video, whether it's my pens, Mr. Gustafson's pens, YouTube comments, 8th graders awkwardly pointing out that I have a YouTube channel, or what was my other topic? Snow! Please feel free to leave a comment down below. And I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.